I was led to believe
it's the Cowboys.
that Ezekiel Elliott was better than Barry Sanders.
I was waiting for that.
And I'm really broken up with the fumble problems, and it hurts my heart.
Yeah, he cost the Cowboys a win. He definitely did. And you wouldn't expect that from Ezekiel Elliott. I like Ezekiel Elliott. I still.
What do you mean you wouldn't expect it from him? He's leading the league in fumbles this year.
Well, this year. But usually Ezekiel Elliott's pretty good with controlling the ball. I don't think he's anywhere close to Barry Sanders, by the way. I've said that over and over again. But Ezekiel Elliott's still one of the best running backs.
That's not what I've been told.
Well, the Beeve likes to tell everybody stupid things. That's why the Beeve is out there sometimes with his Cowboys. I got to get the Beeve and you on the show at the same time. That would be so funny. We got to do that, like pound for pound.
We've already made him cry once. We don't want to do that again.
I think it would be a great pound for pound argument, and we could just be the referees of back and forth banter. Maybe we'll ask you both questions and see who would win when it comes to sports trivia.
I would love to do that, but from what I understand, he's given up sports.
What do you think about your Patriots? I mean, they had a big loss on Sunday. What did you think about that? I mean, Cam Newton isn't 100% healthy. We know that.
Well, listen, a loss is a loss, and they've been so good for so long that you're used to seeing them winning, and to lose a game like that to Denver, really stinks. It's really, really bad. But when you look at it kind of in totality, you could kind of see it coming. They hadn't practiced in 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Their facility had been shut down because they were, leading the league in COVID cases at the time. And that's why their game had gotten pushed back and they really hadn't been practicing. So, as surprising as it is, a lot of people could have predicted it as well.
Right.
Getting a win in the NFL is hard any week, no matter who you're playing, even if it's the Dallas Cowboys.
Or the Jets. Or the Jets, who are terrible. Absolutely horrendous.
Right. Well, listen, that game, okay, the Jets didn't look good, but that game, was still only 21-0 at the end of the day or whatever it was.
24-0. It was terrible, man.
Listen, even against the worst NFL teams, games are still competitive.
Well, what did you think about the Ryan Fitzpatrick story that came out? They decided to go with Tua. I'm very surprised. I like Brian Flores. I think he's a great coach, and he's one of those coaches that really stand out from the Bill Belichick tree. I think he's going to be a fantastic coach in the NFL. A lot of these players are following him and following his lead. But this is a bad move, a really bad move. When you have Ryan Fitzpatrick right now, 3-3, you're in a playoff spot. He's the veteran. I think Tua needs a little bit more time. I don't know if his hip is 100% healthy. And then you decide in the 7th game of the season, being that you're 3-3 and you just beat the Jets, to put Tua in. Does that make any sense to you?
It makes a little bit of sense for me when you look at it's a pressure thing, right? You don't need to look at the Fitzpatrick versus Tua thing when you can look at the other people from that draft. Joe Burrow's playing pretty well in Cincinnati, even though they're not very good. And Justin Herbert quietly is playing really well for the Chargers out in LA. Like, he almost, in his first game almost beat, the Chiefs. Mm-hmm. So I think the Dolphins really want to find out if, their offense would have a whole nother dimension to it with Tua. So, listen, they can always go back to Fitzpatrick and he could steady the ship. He's got that.
They're not going to do that. They will not pull in a rookie quarterback.
Listen, if Tua's really bad, they would do that.
I don't think he's going to be really bad, but the fact is that you're in a playoff opportunity right now. You can actually win the division. You really could, because Buffalo has not played well the last 2 weeks. They've lost 2 games in a row, and you're only 1 game behind them.
Their defense is a big letdown this year.
Yeah. To me, you have a chance to win the division, and now all of a sudden you're going to go to Tua?
But it's hard not to play him when you see the other young quarterbacks in his class playing really well.
Yeah, but Tua's coming back. He's coming back from a hip injury. Being that he's a young kid and having a hip injury of that magnitude, I would absolutely sit him out for most of this season. I would not put him in harm's way, especially when he's your franchise. Yes, he has the number 1 home and away jersey. Me and Speedy were looking that up before the show. He has the number 1 jersey in professional football. It's selling jerseys. So he's a popular player, and I know the owner loves the fact that he loves superstars. He loves superstar coaches, and he loves superstar players.
of all the starting versus backup players in the league of any team, I don't think that move would have been number one for me on my radar for someone who's backing up a starter to replace him.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it would be Tony Pollard.
Interesting. It's
Tony
really...
Pollard over Ezekiel Elliott. Make him the starter.
I mean, there's stories coming out. The Jets are trying to have a wholesale. You saw what they did after the game. Now all of a sudden you're hearing Jamison Crowder's name get brought into conversation, Quinn Williams' name getting brought. I do not believe the Jets are trading Quinn Williams unless they're going to get an outlandish offer from some team. I can't see the Jets giving up. Arguably, statistics show you that he's one of the best defensive linemen this year as far as stats are concerned. Not sacks, but everything else. Tackles, stopping the run. He's one of the best defensive linemen in the league.
Like pressure rate as well, like
yes.
percentage-wise.
I mean, you can't trade away one of your best young, talented players on your team.
Well, you're the Jets guy, right? So let me just ask you this, right? I understand Quinn Williams being a high draft pick and not wanting him to trade him away, but would it make sense as far as, the culture in that building seems to be really garbage right now, and maybe Joe Douglas needs to clean house and just make everybody in that building his guy and change the culture?
I do believe that Joe Douglas is going to do that, and unfortunately, it's going to hurt Sam Darnold because I love Sam, and I still think he's going to be a great quarterback in this league, but I think he's going to hit the trade rumors because to me, as good as Sam is as a player of what we've seen him when he does have some weapons to throw to, unfortunately, you have a guy like Trevor Lawrence coming out of the draft this year, more than likely, and he is once in a lifetime type of player. And unfortunately, the Jets, if the Jets get the number one pick, it's not even unfortunately. It's fortunately they're going to go after Trevor Lawrence. You'd be stupid not to.
Well, let me ask you, so here's the other thing. And listen, I know you're going to say that I'm throwing stones.
No, I'm
on
not.
The Jets and all.
I pick on the Jets all the time, and I'm a Jet fan.
What's from stopping Trevor Lawrence from pulling the John Elway, Eli Manning path and saying, I'm not playing for them?
I don't think he's going to do that. One reason why is John Elway with the coach and everything. And Dabo Swinney, you know who he is. Dabo is a very well-respectable head coach in college football, and he doesn't believe in walking away. Just like he said about Deshaun Watson. He said that whoever passes up on Deshaun Watson is going to regret it. I can't see a guy like Trevor Lawrence to just say, you know what, I don't want to play for the Jets. If he wants to prove himself as a winner, he wants to prove himself as a player and a superstar in the NFL, why not go to a team that hasn't won in 50 years and help them win a championship? That'll put him right on the map as one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL.
Because you can destroy a career like that.
Well, I don't think it depends on the coach that they bring in. I like what Joe Douglas has done. He got rid of cancers like Le'Veon Bell and Jamal Adams, and I think he's going to start moving other pieces. I can see it.
You're going to use those as your two examples?
No, there's no examples. I just think that they're going to move players, and I can't see Trevor Lawrence saying, you know what, I don't want to play for the Jets. And if he does, that doesn't stop the Jets from drafting him. Why would that stop the Jets from drafting him because he says he doesn't want to go there? It's all up to the Jets on what they want to do. And I still like Sam Darnold. I wouldn't mind keeping Sam Darnold and putting players around him. Something that
it's all up to the Jets, but really, I mean, it's really
who's drafting?
Proven out.
Who's drafting? Who's making the pick?
Here's the thing. It's just been proven out over time. The player has the leverage. If he says he's not playing, it works in the player's favor because, it works for John Elway and it worked for Eli Manning. They both got out of situations.
Eli Manning didn't want to go to San Diego because his father thought that it would be a better fit for him to go to New York. In a big city, he fit New York more than San Diego.
So what if Trevor Lawrence's father thinks it's a better fit to go play in Jacksonville?
Well, I don't see why. I mean, Jacksonville is a terrible organization. The Jets are going to be in a better situation than Jacksonville. They will.
I mean, not on offense. As far as offense goes right now, returning
well,
pieces,
they were also fighting. The Jets are also
I would
fighting.
much rather be throwing to DJ Chark and Laviska Shenault than anyone the Jets have.
First of all, we don't know what Denzel Mims is. Okay, that's one. Number two, the Jets are going to have a significant amount of draft capital this year. A significant amount. They could bring in
three players that are already on the team.
They could bring in the Jets. Could bring in the Jets. Could bring in Ross, his wide receiver, his number one guy, his number one option in Clemson. If it will make Trevor Lawrence happy, they could bring him in, and they could bring in players that he would enjoy to throw the ball to. So I again, the Jets have a lot of money to spend in the offseason too. They could bring in T.Y. Hilton, Allen Robinson. They could bring in players, and they also can make trades and bring in some players in free agency. I mean, in trade talks.
Here's the other problem with all of this thinking, and you're right, they could do all of that, but recent history has shown, for the most part, free agents don't choose the Jets.
Well, free agents don't choose the Jets unless the Jets overpay them. And unfortunately, I think that if these teams or these players see that the Jets are bringing in the right coach, they're bringing in the right players, and they have the right thought of where
this
this
the right coach?
I don't know yet. There are a couple of coaches that I like.
There's only one correct answer. We all know who the right coach is.
Eric Bieniemy? Eric Bieniemy?
That's the answer.
Well, Eric Bieniemy is a guy. Again, I'm going to say this, and I know you guys are not going to like it. I like Jim Harbaugh. If I were the Jets, you saw what he did with Colin Kaepernick. You saw what he did with Alex Smith. I think if you bring Jim Harbaugh in, he works very, very well with young quarterbacks. We've seen it. I think he'd be very, very good fit with the Jets. I also like the guy from the what's the team? Carolina.
Joe Brady.
Joe Brady from Carolina. You see what he's doing with Teddy Bridgewater. You see what he's doing with Robbie Anderson. I think he's a good fit for the Jets. I think there's a couple of guys that you can see that would fit very, very. But Eric Bieniemy is the number one target. I think that's everybody's number one target. And I think Eric Bieniemy, he's going to have his choice of where he wants to go. But the thing is with the Jets, and this is why I think Eric Bieniemy will choose the Jets over Houston and some of those other teams. The Jets have draft stock, and the Jets have money to spend. And I think the whole big story here is Houston don't have that. Houston don't have draft stock. They have no draft stock, and they have no money. They just paid Deshaun Watson over $160 million. They're right now, and they gave Laremy Tunsil a lot of money. They don't really have the money to do that. The proper move for Eric Bieniemy is to go to the Jets, because the Jets will bring in arguably one of the best quarterbacks we've seen come out of the draft in almost 15 years. And then you have all the different things that you can do, and you can add on the players that he feels fit that'll fit his offense. So I think it's a good move if the Jets bring in Eric Bieniemy. We'll see. We'll see what happens in the offseason. Adam Gase is gone. The only reason why Adam Gase still has his job, and I've said this over and over again, he gives the Jets the best chance to lose. That's what it is. And that's the way Joe Douglas looks at it. I'm paying a guy.
I think the Jets should trade for Ezekiel Elliott.
Oh, God, please. I like Zeke, but no, I don't want Zeke. I definitely don't want Zeke. I think right now the Jets need to keep moving. I'm hearing that Sam Darnold's gonna play. This is a bad move. If the Jets decide to put Sam Darnold in even half 100%, that's a bad move by him, because if you want to get a first-round draft pick for Sam, you got to protect him. You do not want to put him in harm's way where he can hurt his shoulder for good, and then you lose out on getting a first and a third, or first and a fourth. Because I think there are a lot of teams that are going to be lining up. Indianapolis, Chicago. There are going to be teams, Pittsburgh, teams that will line up and give him a first-round draft pick. So, unfortunately, if the Jets put him in harm's way, which we've seen this with the Jets over and over again, this could be a bad, bad situation for the New York Jets. So,
who's in a worse situation right now, the Jets or the Cowboys?
I would say the Cowboys. Because the Cowboys have no money in the offseason to spend. And their defense is abysmal. And their defense is really bad. And they don't really have a draft cap. I think they have 7 draft picks next year. So they don't have.
It's not a logo, it's a rating.
Yeah. I think the Cowboys are in a little bit more trouble than the Jets. The Jets have money and they have draft capital. So they could do a lot in the offseason to really get them.
Well, the Cowboys are in trouble because they've overpaid everyone. They have the highest paid defensive end and DeMarcus Lawrence. They have the highest paid running back, or the second highest paid running back, Ezekiel Elliott.
Highest paid middle linebacker too, Jalen Smith.
They have the highest paid wide receiver in Amari Cooper, or I think is he still the highest?
Yes, he's the second highest. Michael Thomas
is the number one.
But they also have the second highest paid, or they have the highest paid middle linebacker with Jalen Smith too.
Right. So like this is like the thing with them is they've already doled out a bunch of money. They're going to have to now shell out a larger contract for Dak Prescott, and they're not going to have any flexibility going forward. So they're not going to be able to go and get anyone to play safety or a cornerback or anything like that.